Now, this is when things get ain't a little, a lot more interesting. And this is kind of really bad. This is, man, whew, when you put this in perspective, like, you got all of these federal employees getting fired or laid off. The U.S. District Court states that, hey, we're not going to stop any of this. We're going to continue to allow the Trump administration to do these mass firings of these federal employees or whatever. Let's not even just talk about federal employees, but let's just also talk about your Meta. Let's talk about your Amazon. Let's talk about your Tesla. Let's talk about all of these, your different trucking companies. Jack Cooper going filing bankruptcy. Like, think about all this stuff going on, all of these things going all at once, right? And then these individuals, us, the people, have mortgages, have car notes, have family to take care of, have obligations, whatever. Now, I say this many times. I always feel like you should always have some other means of revenue. I've said this 1,000 times. I'll probably keep repeating it. But some of us didn't. Some of us didn't take heed. Some of us still sit on our hands. Some of us ain't went head first. Whatever. But just imagine that you was a recipient that owned some real estate, owned some property, or whatever. You had some commercial real estate. You had some commercial, assets or whatever. And you was recipient on the other end for all of this time during certain, administrations, whether it was the Biden administration or the Obama administration or the Bush administration, for all of this time, and stuff has finally got shaken up for you on a major level. And this is what I'm talking about. The current administration is going after some of those federal leases. Oh, man. Think about this. You have this big ass building, or not, but let's just say the federal leases was 50, 25% of your business. Let's say 10% of your business. But let's just say 50 to 25 to 10% of your business was federal leases. And things was getting tight anyway. What do you do? Like, what do you really do? And here's the other thing. Now you have to possibly restructure that loan. You might have to restructure the way your business was set up. You might have to sell something. You might have to get some investors somewhere, or whatever the case may be. But now that federal contracts, this has already been happening anyway, kinda, sorta. But on a larger scale, you got federal leases that go away. So just imagine you go to a strip mall. And I'm sure some of you have seen this, obviously, in wherever you live. You go to a strip mall, and that whole strip mall just went under. For whatever reason, you don't know why, but it went under. I've personally seen where what's it called? A DMV, a driver vehicle DMV driver. I forgot what DMV stand for. I'm sorry, forgive me. But a DMV, where you go and you get, your tags, for your vehicle. When you purchase a vehicle, you'll get your tags and paperwork and all that good stuff together. Well, I've seen where that particular DMV had shut down in a particular area, and then that whole strip mall went under. Because a lot of revenue for that particular strip mall was coming from the contract or the lease with the DMV. Think about that. Now then look at it like this. Your whole business or 80% or 50% of your business is federal leases. That is painful. That is going to be extremely painful. I mean, it's going to hurt. Now, somebody else might get those federal leases, or guess what? The funding might be gone altogether. So think of how that changes the trajectory or the money that was spent for those federal leases. This is going to be painful, people. Like, this is going to be, hurt. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel good. But again, in order for us to survive as, individuals or citizens in general, like, you have to pivot. I've, stated that plenty of times, like, nothing's promised. And then again, you always got to diversify. You should diversify. So maybe you shouldn't have had so much of your eggs in one basket, and you had a lot of your revenue coming from federal leases. Something to think about. But like, say for example, an area like DC, or area like Baltimore, or wherever there might be other hubs where they have a massive amount of federal employees, or federal funding. This stuff is getting getting hammered. And here's the thing: we know for sure that there was a lot of fraud going on. There's fraud going on anyway, regardless. I'm not going to sit here and point out that this administration is going to be great or anything like that. I don't think so. There will be things that are good or bad, and I've said this 1,000 times. But there was clearly a number of fraud going on. There was a number of resources and revenue going to certain programs. Certain countries was getting funds, and some of this was for things like, I don't know, transgender, or studies, or changing body parts or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I don't discriminate here at all or whatever. But then when you think about DEI, or whatever the case may be, like, all of these different programs, and the way businesses was moving, like, all these things are changing. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I said this 1,000 times: when you start attacking people's pockets one way or the other, you'll find out what you have. So this is Terrence Brunson reporting on this. This is wild. Federal funding, federal leases, whether it was a 5-year lease, a 10-year lease, whether it was $50,000 a month, whether it was $50,000 a year, whatever that might be, whatever that is, they're being demolished, they're being abolished, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. They're ending those, or they're being under attack. So we'll be reporting on this. This is really interesting. So I'll be reporting on this. We'll be following up with this. And again, we have the fire sales going on. We have a lot of real estate in the DC and surrounding areas that are just going up. These are opportunities for investors. So we'll see how this goes. We're reporting on this again. You all have a blessed night again, blessed evening, blessed day, blessed morning. Just stay positive, and just take advantage of the opportunities that are there. And let's get to pivoting ASAP.